So this right here is the one a lot of people has been wanting to know about. Three from Hell got it early for review. The Blu-ray and DVD combo. There is going to be a 4K Blu-ray combo and a DVD by itself, but be warned, the DVD is not unrated. The DVD isn't even unrated in this, but the Blu-ray is. So where does this go from The Devil's Rejects? Well, there's a lot of people online that's been talking really bad about it. I heard some people say that it was the worst horror film they'd seen this year. I don't think it's that bad. Now, hear me out before you start crucifying me on this. Yes, there is some questionable CGI moments in this movie, like there is some CGI bullet shots. But if you go back and watch The Devil's Rejects, I'm pretty sure he had some very bad CGI bullet shots in that as well, like during the climax of it. I believe there was some. But if you can look past that, yes, it does feel like it's the third in the trilogy because that's usually the weakest, and this is the weakest. And yes, the budget isn't as big, and you can kind of notice that from time to time. But the movie doesn't look cheap nonetheless, and it is solid for what it is, especially if you just want to spend some time with the Firefly bunch again. Now, this movie picks up immediately after the events of the first film. They bring them in. They've been shot to pieces, and they're saying it's miraculous that they're alive. And from then, it's kind of like a TV recap of what's happened to them since then. And of course, this is a minor spoiler alert, but Rob Zombie talked about it himself in like an interview somewhere on some website that I read. Sid Haig is not in this very long, and I guess you can look at him and tell why he wasn't, because he was in very bad shape. I noticed before he died he was in bad shape when I seen him at like Days of the Dead and stuff. So it sucks that you don't have Captain Spaulding in here much, and I think that if he had been around, maybe it'd have been a little bit better. But for most people, I still liked it. But I think that's the biggest bummer for me personally out of this, is that we don't see much Captain Spaulding, but it's understandable why he isn't. He is replaced by the Midnight Wolfman, which is the same guy that was like the killer clown in 31. I don't want to give you play-by-play on what happens because I want you to watch it and judge for yourself, but from a plot standpoint, he helps his half-brother Otis escape from a prison yard, and of course then they have to figure out a way to get baby out, and then when such things like that happen, they go on to run. There is some bad guys that they go against, because that's another thing some people have a problem with, is they're kind of making you want to cheer for these guys. So everybody they go against, there isn't very many 100% innocent people that these guys kill in this movie. Everybody that they seem to cross paths with or do something bad to seems to be somebody that has it coming in some form or another, which, I don't want to forget these are the same people that tortured the people from House of a Thousand Corpses for no reason. So while it is easy to like them in some aspects, I think it's best if we quit trying to push these guys over as like baby faces in this situation. But the biggest problem they have is there's not one particular bad guy that they have to face from start to finish. Like, in The Devil's Rejects, they had like the sheriff, and the sheriff was like this mean son of a gun, and you did not like the sheriff, even though he was technically in the right for what he was mad at him for. You don't really have that. You have a couple of people that come and go in this movie that they deal with, but you don't really have that real strong anti-good guy to go against them and make you really get behind them. That's a problem. The story is probably a little bit thin. It's like, okay, get out of prison, get to another location. That is the plot, and it's pretty simple. And some of the stuff they do kind of feels like maybe a rewash or a repeat of what they've done before. But, I think after it's been so long since we've seen the last one of these, it's probably forgivable. Basically, I put it this way. I went into this expecting a Rob Zombie movie, and I got a Rob Zombie movie, which means I got awkward dialogue that isn't always good, some unnecessary use of the word bitch that they seem to just be throwing in there whenever they can and however they can, very awkwardly. But I think he's in on the joke as much as he uses it. I expected to be a lot of violence, and there is a lot of violence here. There's nudity here. There's a lot of nudity here. And it was a good time, though, and I expected to have a good time, and I had a good time with it. I also expected Rob not to know how to end a movie, but Rob somehow miraculously has seemed to figure out a proper way to end a film. This may be the first time that he has properly ended anything, or at least I feel it's properly end. So a little anticlimactic, but it's a solid ending nonetheless. So 3 from Hell for me out of a 5. I'm giving it a 3.5. I thought the first two movies were like 4s, maybe even argue almost a 5 for Devil's Rejects, or House of a Thousand Corpses. I love both those movies pretty much, but this one, nowhere near that level of good, but still pretty good for what it is. I know a lot of people was disappointed, but maybe maybe they expected too much, and I'm not going to hold the CGI bullets against him that much. Although I know it sucks. I mean, I don't even use CGI bullets. I do indie movies for $10 pretty much. This also has a 4-part 90-minute documentary to Hell and Back, which I haven't got to watch yet, but I'm going to watch it because the documentary on these Rob Zombie movies are sometimes better than the movies themselves, and has audio commentary, which I probably need to go back and watch as well. So this movie, regardless of what some people might think, I don't believe it sucks. If you like The Devil's Rejects, you're probably going to like this. It's not that good, but it's still nice to go and visit with the Firefly clan again. Sucks about Captain Spaulding. I mean, hell, we're all going to miss Sid Haig, but you know, as far as like what they did for this movie, they did the best they could. This guy, he doesn't replace the captain, but he fits for what he is. So if you are on the fence about watching it, watch it, because I think it's still pretty good, even though it's not by any means great.